On day 302, we're going to just go through a little bit of story time real quick. So there's been multiple things that I've been excited about in the past year where I really feel deeply that I'm being taught a lesson on patience. And even knowing that there's a lesson in the waiting. And I'm going to go through two story-like examples of this. But even knowing that there's a lesson of patience and perseverance, I always come back to the fact that I still don't like to wait. And I think that's like anything that you or I might be experiencing. You could be going through something medical related and you know that there's probably a lesson in it, but you still hate going to the doctor. Or you could be going through whatever adversity it is, even though you know that God can work in and through you amidst the trial or amidst the waiting. It's still gonna be hard. And just teeing it up that way because you'll understand in the examples that I give. One is the one I want to focus on. I'm going to talk about that one second, but that's about this flip phone deal that's happening this week. But before I talk more in depth about that one, let's go back to the tattoos here. So I waited, I think, about a year to get these, and it was rescheduled multiple times. And again, first world problem, not the end of the world. But the sleeve, I've gone through a couple of the pieces, but in totality, it's really a love letter to Jesus. It's got a lot of things that relate. It all tells one specific story, and it's got a lot of things that I relate to in terms of my journey and my trying to grow in my faith and some of the adversities and trials along the way. And I don't get excited about a ton of earthly things, but when something like this is on the calendar and it's a pretty new and different thing, you get excited about it. And I learned a lot about the waiting and kind of the not knowing in between, things being rescheduled and then being rescheduled again, and the cans being kicked and you don't know when it's going to happen, and you're excited about it and you've budgeted for it. And you also feel silly because you've talked to a few friends and family about it and it continues not to happen. And then they're like, dude, is this ever going to happen? So I learned just in this past year, it was July and then early September when I was able to finish it. And I learned through the waiting that, hey, sometimes you might just have to wait an extra 6 months for something to happen that you need to look forward to, and you don't need to attach your entire identity to it. You just have to be perseverant and patient. Well, the second thing I want to talk about, and it's very similar in that same vein, is this move to this flip phone. I've been considering it for months, but it's been a couple weeks ago since I fully committed and said, hey, I'm going to move away from the iPhone. And I was talking to some buddies about it and family because I am excited and I want to hold myself accountable. So speaking it out, it's like I'm not going back. I'm gonna do it, and I still plan to. But over a week ago, I had it ordered and it was supposed to be delivered to my house. And so here's how the story goes: is it didn't get delivered to the house. It got delivered to the wrong address. No problem. Drivers make mistakes. So then it was supposed to be, they found the package at the misplaced address and the driver was going to swing it back by at the end of his route. And that never happened. So long story short, they ended up calling me and said, hey, just come by the warehouse and you can pick it up at like the hub. So I do so, and there was some confusion. They were trying to search for the package and they finally found it and they said, here you go. So I drove back to work. I had the box in my hand and I get back to work and I open the box and the flip phone's not in there. It's just the charger and the battery. And so I don't know if it was stolen or if the phone company forgot to put the phone in the box. But that does kind of matter, I've learned, because that in terms of who's at fault, is it the carrier, the freight carrier, or is it the phone company? And again, trying to be patient, which I struggle with, but also trying to be perseverant. I go to a couple of physical locations with the phone company just to try to sort it out and explain what happened, and even say, hey, like I'll just buy an additional one here. But unfortunately, they don't carry flip phones in store really anymore. I went to multiple locations to no avail. So I get pointed back to, I got to either reorder one online or kind of start the process over, submit a claim of some sort, which is probably, once it gets caught in this kind of death web, it tends to just take multiple more weeks, and that's going to have to be okay. But I am trying to thread the needle again in my life, just as a real active example here of trying to be perseverant, but also be patient. Like in in my midst of trying to figure all this out, I went to multiple of the phone company locations, and then I also went to Best Buy just to try to buy like a phone a la carte, and the flip phone that I'm looking for, none of them have that one in stock. So again, I'm just pointed back to kind of square one. And again, it's so interesting. There's been multiple hoops to jump through, not only from like the freight carrier, but then going to the physical location of the freight carrier, and then them acting like they didn't have it, which then I was kind of bummed about, but then they had the box, and then I opened the box and it wasn't in there. There's just been a lot of swings back and forth. And again, it goes back to, it's a first world problem, kind of a reverse first world problem, because I'm trying to get rid of the iPhone. But it's like, hey, at the end of the day, it's not a big deal. Like, my life goes on, life is good, we're blessed. So in comparison and in perspective, it's just funny, not a big deal. But I think there can be tests that we can turn into testimonies, and I think this is just one of them. Is the people that have known I've been excited about getting a flip phone had asked me today, like, where's it at? Why haven't you done it yet? And I'm like, hey, I'm being pretty tenacious trying to figure this out. But here's the funny story, and it makes for a good conversation. But at the end of the day, I could go on not just about the kind of the sleeve, the Jesus sleeve here, and then also the trying to not live of the world and move away from the smartphone. There's a lot of other examples as well where I'm trying to do something in good intention, out of passion, that never seems to work out to my timeline. How can I make that how can I show people Jesus in the process, even though my impatience wants to rise up? And then how can I make that a good story and a good testimony to have immense patience and to be perseverant through the struggle? I think that's the opportunity. I don't know when it's going to get solved. I'm going to have to keep you updated. But we're still going. We're not going to stop. I'm not going to let this be a barrier to get frustrated, then just tell them to forget it. We're going to continue to press on. And we're going to continue to get that dumb phone eventually. And then I'll have to start recording these on, I think, my wife's grandma's iPad, because I won't have an iPhone anymore. So I'll keep you updated. Excited to continue to keep going. Just wanted to go to story time today on day 302.